Good evening. Shuvato, Daf Ayin Bet Amud 5 lines from the top by the two dots. Next part of the Mishnah said Shachit v'nimset terefa. If he slaughters an animal and they found out to be the animal's a terefa, was going to die. It had a mortal wound, a fatal wound, and it was either going to be the animal's organ was damaged, whatever it was. It wasn't going to live long. If he slaughtered it, he pays. Or if he slaughtered it in the Bet HaMikdash and it was not hekdesh, he still pays 4 or 5. The Gemara says. אמר לי רב חביבי, מחוז נאה לרב אשר, שמע מינה אין לשחיטה אלא בסוף. Shechita is not considered shechita until the end. The ישנה לשחיטה מההתחלה לסוף, because if shechita is considered shechita from the beginning to the end, meaning before he slaughters both both the windpipe and the trachea, כיוון דשחטה בפורתא עשרה, once you slaughter it a little bit, it made it asur, because it was already either terefa slash chulin in the azara in Bet HaMikdash. Idach and therefore, when he's slaughtering the rest of it, he's not slaughtering from the animal. We had a similar concept earlier. When is he chayav for slaughtering it according to the Mishnah? Is when he's slaughtering it for that little portion, he's chayav. Gemara says, don't push off the question like that. When the pasuk says the guy slaughtered it, he has to slaughter the other person's animal completely. And over here, he's not. If he's slaughtering a terefa or the animal in the Bet HaMikdash. So the question is back on. Ela kasher, that is the question. The Gemara answers. The case the Mishnah is referring to where he slaughtered the animal partially outside of the Bet HaMikdash, and then inside the Azara, he finished off the completion. Others learned the discussion the following way. Others heard the discussion as follows. Shechita only starts at the end, meaning the actual name Shechita when you fully slaughter the animal. From the beginning to end. And then the question, they brought it in like this. Maybe Rabbi Yochanan should hold that slaughtering animals outside, slaughtering non-hekdesh animals, holy animals in the courtyard of Bet HaMikdash is not considered deraita isur. Because if you would say it was deraita, once you slaughtered it, it should be asur. Because why? Because therefore, when he's slaughtering the rest, it does not belong to the owner. It should be patur from 4 or 5. Where I said the same answer as before. When he's chayav in the small part, and therefore he's already chayav. The don't push it off. Same thing as before. When the pasuk says that you have to slaughter it, and when you're slaughtering it, it has to be complete slaughter, and over here it doesn't apply. The question comes back on. Same answer. He started the slaughtering outside and continued inside. New Mishnah. Someone stole an ox or a sheep. 2 witnesses testified on it. He either slaughtered it or sold it on their same witnesses. Then they found out to be Zolmin. Zolmin is a special chidush in the Torah that, in general, if you have 2 witnesses testify against 2 witnesses, they cancel each other out. The chidush of Zolmin is Torah says that if 2 witnesses come and they go on, let's say Reuven and Shimon testify that someone else owes money. Another 2 witnesses come and testify on them that you can't testify that you were there on that sale because you're with us on that day. The punishment is ka'asher zamam, you have to do it to them what they wanted to do, and they have to pay the money instead to the person that they were going to convict. So, if let's say these witnesses became zalamin, mishalmin hakol, they pay all 4 or 5 payments. Ganava pishnaim, if say the 2 witnesses testified that the guy stole, the tavachim machar pishnaim acharim, and 2 other witnesses testified in the slaughtering or the selling. Since when both sets became zomin, but the first 2 witnesses who said Gineva pay the kefir, and the other witnesses pay the 2 or 3. Sorry, only the second set, the slaughtering or the selling witnesses became zomin. The stealer still pays the 2 because that was nothing to do with it. The second witnesses who said he sold it or slaughtered it, they pay the 3. It's only the second set witnesses became zolmin batla edushnia. The second set witnesses become batel because there's nothing to do with the first part. Echad min Rishon, but the first set of the stealing became Zomim, but la kol everything falls apart because Shem en Geniva, because once the witnessing testimony of the stealing became batel, and Tivicham and there's no problem of theft of slaughtering or selling. Okay. Itmar, famous machloket. Eid Zomim. When someone testifies and becomes an Eid Zomim. Right, so we're going to discuss. Let's say this guy testified in January that Reuven stole money. In March, he got caught. In March, someone else said, "Hey, how'd you testify in January? On that day, you're with us on winter vacation." What happens to anything that he testified or signed until March? Right? February until March, when that testimony in January became overturned. What happened until then? Abai Amar l'mafrehu nifsa. He's disqualified retroactively, meaning from January to March, all his testimonies become falling apart. Rav Amar mikan l'bahu nifsa. Rav says only from now on. Abai Amar l'mafrehu nifsa. Rav says it from that is retroactively pasul mehahu sha'ata da'asi havid rasha. Because once he testified, he became a rasha. But Rama alta shed rasha and a rasha cannot be ed. Rav says Amar mikan l'bahu nifsa. Rav says that only from now on he becomes pasul. Ed zomim hidushu. The concept of zomim is the edim zomim, like we said, it's a hidush. Because right, we're going to explain it now because it's 2 against 2. My hazit that sitlahani. Who said you should listen to these 2? Maybe you should listen to the first 2. Therefore, the hidush teaches you to listen to the second set, which logically wouldn't dictate that. Since the hidush applies in March, you go from March on. Ikadamri doesn't say opposite differently. Ravanami I would agree with Abaye. But technically, it should be disqualified retroactively from January. Rabba holds that it only goes from then on for a different reason. Because he's worried about people losing money. Meaning, if they use his witnesses in February, and now the thing falls apart and the sale falls apart, now the guy could lose money. Therefore, we keep it as is to keep shalom, basically. What's the difference between the 2 explanations of Rava? One hidush would be one difference would be if 2 edim zomin became zomin by 2 on 1, 2 on 1. Because what would be the differences? Because if in that case there's no chidush, right? It's not 2 on 1. It's not 2 on 2. It's 2 on 1, 2 on 1. Therefore, there's no chidush. Therefore, Rabbi would agree in the second part. Or, and I'm a different answer. The second set became pasul, made the first set pasul based on committing robbery. Therefore, according to the opinion of holds the chidush leka. There's no chidush over here because either it's 2 on 1 or they're pasul because of robbery. But according to the opinion holds that we're worried about people losing money, ika, because they could still lose money if you're making pasul the mafreya retroactively. Papa holds the halachas according to Rava. Ravashi says, and over here, we're posek Abaye, 1 and 6 times in Shas, Ya'al Kigam, each one stands for a separate part in different parts of Masechtot, Sanhedrin, Kiddushin, Kitin, Eruvin, Sanhedrin, I think I mentioned. There's 6 different places in Shas where Abaye is, we posek like Abaye against Rava. Otherwise, Rava always we're posek like him. Let's do a little more. Mishnah. If someone stole ox and testified 2 witnesses, they same witnesses testified that he sold it or slaughtered it. They didn't sue Zomin. They were found to be Zomin. Mishnah called they pay all 4 or 5. My love, now doesn't it sound like that they're referring to where they first testified on the theft? And they testified on the slaughter. And they were Zomemd on the theft. And it sounds like they were then Zomemd on the slaughter as well. Right? So 4 things happened. Testified on theft, testified on slaughter, Zomemd on theft, Zomemd on slaughter. If you would tell me that they become retroactively pasul like Abaye, once they became Zomemd on Geneva, how can you tell me that they're chayav on the slaughtering or the selling edut if they already became Zomemd in the first part? Then they're the mafreya pasul, and therefore the second edut of the slaughtering or selling should be ng, and therefore the should not be chayav on 4 or 5. They should only be chayav in the kefil, the stealing one. Amri Gemara says, where the answer says, no, they were first zomend on the slaughter, and then the zomend on the theft. So they weren't the mafreya. So the Gemara says, when they're later on zomend on the theft, igla milta, right? The Gemara says, 1 second, who cares which order they became zomend? Regardless, if the edut of the theft came first, then I don't care when they were zomend. If they were zomend on the theft, and the theft obviously came first, the edut of the theft obviously came before the slaughtering, then again, we're proving that they were pasul by the time of slaughtering. Whereas, not really, it wasn't two separate edut of stealing and slaughtering. It was the same time they came in and testified on the guy. This guy stole and slaughtered, and then they became some on both of those ediyot. All right, let's stop here.